It started with laughter. Sharp, careless, the kind that's never meant to be heard by the person it's about. I was supposed to be out late. A surprise shift change at work brought me home an hour early. I wasn't trying to sneak in. I just didn't slam the door shut behind me like usual. Maybe if I had, I wouldn't have heard what I did. I stepped into the hallway, dropped my keys into the bowl by the door, and froze. Heather's voice, my wife of 5 years, was echoing from the kitchen. Not just her voice. Her tone. It was light, flirty, cutting. Honestly, Lily, he's so clueless. I fake it every time. Every single time. A pause. Then more laughter. No, I'm serious. He thinks he's this smooth guy, but let's just say all my exes? Miles better. The words hit me like a slap, but I didn't make a sound. I stayed still, back flat against the wall, breath locked in my chest like a held curse. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. You know what's crazy? She continued, giggling. He tries. He really tries. But it's like watching a high schooler try to drive stick shift. Painful. And slow. Lily's voice crackled through the phone speaker, laughing right along with her. Oh my God, Heather, stop. But she didn't. She kept going. He thinks he's the man of the house. Please. I run circles around him. He's sweet, sure, but sweet doesn't keep me satisfied. You know what I mean? I blinked, swallowed hard. My fingers curled into fists, but I didn't step forward. The hallway light above me flickered, like it sensed the static in the air. I stood there under it, unmoving, every word of hers turning something inside me colder and colder. Heather, my wife, wasn't just cheating. She was laughing, mocking me, dismissing everything I thought we'd built as some kind of running joke. And her sister? The one who stood beside us at our wedding? She laughed along like they were swapping skincare tips. I should have burst in, confronted her. But something inside me stopped. No shouting, no rage, just ice. This wasn't a moment for screaming. It was a moment for remembering, for calculating. I backed away quietly, slipping into the guest room and shutting the door without a sound. Sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. You don't know what kind of man you are until the person you trust most slices through you with a smile. And who was I? Ryan Matthews, 37, software analyst. Took pride in being dependable, in always putting Heather first. Worked hard, saved smart, never cheated. I kissed her forehead every night. Let her pick the paint for every wall in this house. Even smiled through her dinner parties where I felt like an accessory in khakis. But now I saw it. This wasn't love. It was theater. And I'd been cast as the fool. The ice clinked softly in my glass, the sound more familiar now than my own thoughts. Second bourbon, maybe third, I wasn't counting. Just watching the way the amber liquid caught the light, dancing in a place far more peaceful than where my mind was. The bar was nearly empty, the kind of place where heartbroken men disappear into shadows, and the bartender learns your name only if you want him to. I didn't. The only voices around were low murmurs from a pair of guys playing darts in the back, and the faint crackle of some old blues tune rolling out from the jukebox. The kind of song you hum through pain, not around it. I sat at the far end, tucked away beneath a tired neon sign that buzzed every few seconds like it was trying to give up, too. Heather's voice kept playing in my head. He's a loser in bed. All my exes were better. That laugh. That cold, careless laugh. I didn't even know what hurt more, the words themselves, or how natural they sounded coming from her. Like she'd said them before. Like that version of me had always been her private reality, just hidden behind practiced smiles and sleepy kisses on the couch. The bartender slid another bourbon my way without a word. He didn't ask if I wanted it. Just knew. I lifted the glass halfway, paused, and caught my reflection in the mirror behind the bottles. Tired eyes. Slight stubble I hadn't planned to grow. A man dressed like he came from work and forgot to go home. Why did I let it get this far? I murmured. The guy next to me either didn't hear or was polite enough to pretend he didn't. I appreciated that. Because truth be told, I wasn't looking for a conversation. I was looking for some kind of answer, and the bottom of a bourbon glass was the only place I hadn't checked yet. We met 8 years ago. Heather had been a friend of a friend. Sharp wit, loud laugh, red lipstick that made her look like trouble and confidence wrapped in one. I thought I was lucky when she picked me out of the crowd. I told myself she saw something special in me. Maybe she did, once. I gave her stability, a house, consistency. She gave me heat, charm, life. But somewhere along the line, I stopped being the man she showed off and became the one she rolled her eyes at when she thought I wasn't looking. And now here I was. A punchline. I took a slow sip, let it burn its way down. I didn't cry. Not here. Not anymore. The door creaked open and a cold gust rolled in. Someone came or went. I didn't turn around. My phone buzzed once in my pocket. I didn't check it. Maybe Heather had noticed I left without a word. Maybe she hadn't. Didn't matter. What mattered was the silence inside me now. That dangerous kind of quiet where love used to live. The kind of quiet where decisions grow teeth. I leaned back, let the glass rest in my hand. She wanted a man who made her feel something. Fine. She'd feel this. But not yet. Tonight, I let it settle. Let the truth curl into me like smoke. She laughed at me. With her sister. The same sister who always blushed a little too hard at my jokes. The same sister who once drunkenly told Heather at a barbecue, "If you ever screw this one up, I'm next in line." Yeah, I remembered. I stared down into my bourbon again. I wasn't here to get drunk. I was here to decide who I'd be next. The front door creaked open slowly. I didn't slam it. I wanted her to hear it. I wanted the sound to pull her out of whatever lie she was lounging in. The living room was dim, lit only by the soft blue glow of the TV, frozen on some paused streaming screen. Heather was curled up on the couch in that oversized cardigan she always wore when she pretended to care about being cozy. But the second she caught the scent of bourbon trailing in behind me, her nose wrinkled like she'd smelled something rotting. "Really?" she said sharply, not even looking up. "You reek of liquor." I shut the door, tossed my keys on the console. "I'm aware," I replied calmly. She finally looked at me, eyes narrowed, arms folded. Her hair was perfectly in place. Makeup still on like she'd been expecting someone. "Not me, though. Not like this. It's Tuesday, Ryan," she snapped. "You think it's cute to come home smelling like a frat boy at 37? I shrugged off my coat, hung it up slowly. "You think it's cute to gossip about your husband's bedroom performance with your sister?" Her face blanched, just for a second. Then the smirk crawled back in. She shifted in her seat, crossing her legs like she was prepping for a courtroom defense. "So you heard that?" Her voice was cooler now. Defensive. "You were spying on me?" "I live here," I said, walking past her toward the kitchen. "Didn't realize I needed a warning bell." "Don't twist it," she shot back, rising to her feet. "It was just a stupid call. A joke." "Jokes are funny," I replied, opening the fridge. That was cruel. And real. She followed me, arms still folded tight across her chest like a shield. "Oh, please. You know what your problem is? You act like a victim anytime someone doesn't worship you. You think just because you go to work, pay bills, and what? Buy groceries, that I should fall at your feet and sing your praises?" I closed the fridge without grabbing anything. "No," I said. "I expected respect. Maybe loyalty. Maybe some basic human decency." She let out a bitter laugh. "Wow, you are drunk." I took a step closer, voice low. "Not enough to miss the part where you said every ex was better. That you fake it every time. Ring any bells?" Her mouth tightened. She glanced away, then back, calculating. "You always do this," she said. "Turn everything into some moral high ground. You don't ask why I said it. You don't think maybe there's a reason." I tilted my head. "Go on then. Give me the reason. Make it good." She hesitated. Then, "Because I'm tired," she hissed. "Tired of feeling invisible. Tired of playing perfect wife to a man who hasn't touched me in weeks, who comes home late, who stopped noticing me a long time ago." I blinked. "You know what's funny, Heather? I didn't stop noticing you. I just started seeing you for who you really are." That hit her harder than anything else at all night. Her jaw clenched. "So what now? You gonna punish me? Cheat back? Make some big show of being the wronged man, so everyone takes your side?" "No," I said simply, stepping past her toward the hallway. "I'm going to bed." "You're walking away?" she barked. "After starting all this?" I turned halfway. "No," I said, looking her in the eye. "You started this. When you decided I wasn't enough. When you laughed with Lily like I was some character you outgrew." Her expression flickered, like she hadn't expected me to say her name. I walked down the hall, my steps calm but heavy. Her voice trailed behind me, shrill and desperate. "You think you're so righteous, Ryan? You think you're better than me? Just wait. You'll miss this. You'll miss me." But I didn't answer. And for the first time, I didn't feel small in front of her. I didn't feel like the one who needed to explain himself. The door to our bedroom clicked shut behind me, muffling her words and cutting through years of noise. She was scrambling to get back the control she felt slipping, and I had no intention of letting her. The next morning hit different. No hangover, no headache, just a strange stillness in my chest, as if some old noise had finally been silenced. Sunlight crept through the blinds, streaking gold across the hardwood floor. I rose earlier than usual, already knowing what I'd wear. A charcoal blazer I hadn't pulled from the closet in months. Crisp white shirt, just enough cuffs showing at the wrist. Slim-fit slacks. Brown leather shoes I usually save for weddings or interviews. I even used that cologne she once bought me for our anniversary, the one she said smelled too grown-up, like it bothered her to see me look sharp. I checked my watch. I wasn't running late. I was giving her time to notice. Heather padded out of the bedroom, wearing a robe and her favorite morning scowl. Her hair was up in a lazy bun, coffee mug in hand, phone already glued to her other palm. She walked past the hallway and froze. I stood by the mirror near the foyer, adjusting my cufflink. Her eyes flicked up and down, trying to process what she was seeing. "Okay," she muttered. "Where's that outfit going?" "Work," I said plainly. She leaned against the wall, crossing one arm. "Since when does a software analyst dress like he's running for office?" I turned, grabbed my watch from the tray, strapped it on without breaking stride. "No reason," I said. "Just felt like looking decent." She snorted once, but it lacked punch. "Decent? Ryan, you're dressed like you're trying to impress someone." I looked over at her, calm and unreadable. "Am I?" I asked. That threw her. For a second, she blinked. Once, twice. Like her brain had to reload. She shook it off with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You know what this is, right? The overcompensation phase. You get your ego bruised, so now you're dressing up like you're on a magazine cover." I picked up my keys and wallet. Maybe I just remembered I used to like how I looked before you made me feel like blending in. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. I stepped past her into the kitchen, grabbed my travel mug, filled it with coffee. The air between us was charged, but it wasn't me who was carrying the current anymore. She leaned in the doorway, trying to reclaim some of that easy cruelty from the night before. "You know, you can wear a blazer, spray that cologne, even rehearse all your clever lines. But underneath it all, you're still the same." I tightened the lid on my mug. "Maybe, but the version of me who put up with your nonsense? He's not coming back." Her arms uncrossed. The mask cracked just a bit. "You're seriously playing this game now?" she asked, her voice pitching up. "After one moody night and a drink too many, suddenly you're—" "What, Mr. Suave?" I turned, took 2 calm steps toward her, and held her gaze. "I'm not playing. I'm adjusting." She opened her mouth to fire back, but I cut her off gently. "You made it clear you're not proud of the man you married. So now I'm just making sure I'm proud of the man I wake up as." I moved past her again, toward the door. Behind me, silence. No quick jab. No clever insult. Just the soft sound of her breathing getting a little faster. As I reached for the door, she finally spoke, quieter this time. "Where are you really going, Ryan?" I paused, glanced over my shoulder with a faint smile. "To remind myself I'm more than what you settled for." Click. The door shut behind me, and for the first time in months, I felt taller. Not just in clothes, but in spine. She thought she could insult me into a corner. What she didn't expect was that I'd turn and walk out of it on my own. And that scared her. I could see it in her eyes. For years, Heather wore the crown in this house. But this morning, she saw the beginning of a transfer of power, and I wasn't planning on giving it back. Heather's parents lived in this spotless, modern colonial just north of town. Granite counters, polished floors, and a dining room that always smelled faintly of eucalyptus. They hosted these dinners once a month, and until now, I'd always shown up as the quiet son-in-law who passed the mashed potatoes and stayed out of drama. Not tonight. I arrived 10 minutes early, dressed in the same blazer from the morning, with a subtle, confident grin that wasn't for show. Heather showed up moments later in her usual fashionably late glide, brushing right past me at the entryway with a mumbled, "You could have waited." "I figured you'd want the spotlight all to yourself," I replied coolly. Inside, the usual crowd milled around, her father pouring wine, her mother checking on the roast, and Lily, already seated at the edge of the couch, scrolling through her phone. Lily, younger by 2 years, but always sharper than people gave her credit for. She looked up as I stepped in and offered a soft smile. one she probably didn't realize carried more warmth than it should have. "Ryan," she said, rising to hug me. "Hey. Hey, Lil," I said, stepping in close. "Is that gardenia?" I motioned toward her wrist, where a small spritz of perfume lingered. She laughed, a little embarrassed. "Yeah, how did you know?" "I remember," I said with a smirk. "From that wedding we went to, what was it, your cousin's? You were the same scent. We danced and spilled red wine all over your shoes." Her laugh came quick. "Oh my God, yes. I was so mad, but you just kept telling me it added character." "Still does," I said lightly, eyes holding hers for just a breath longer than necessary. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught Heather watching. Her smile tightened. Her wineglass hadn't even reached her lips, but already her jaw had. We moved to the table. Heather sat across from me, Lily beside me, her bare arm brushing mine once or twice too naturally to be an accident. Dinner rolled on, her parents chatting about travel plans, the stock market, and whatever new recipe Heather's mom had perfected. But beneath the clinking forks and polite laughter, a separate game played out. "You always remember the weirdest details," Lily said softly to me as I complimented the meal. "It's kinda your thing." Heather chimed in, her tone clipped. "Ryan remembers everything, except to take out the trash." Lily glanced between us. "Guess we all have our blind spots." I smiled, raising my glass slightly in Lily's direction. She blushed again, looking down. The table filled with casual words, but every word I spoke to Lily was deliberate. Heather kept shifting in her seat, adjusting her napkin, reaching for water she didn't need. She was trying to keep the upper hand, but she was slipping, and all I had to do was smile. The second the front door shut behind us, Heather's heels clacked hard against the wood floor, louder than necessary. Her silence had been brewing since dessert. I slipped off my blazer, hung it by the stairs. Waited. She crossed her arms. That was low. I turned to her, keeping my voice even. "You'll have to be more specific." "Oh, come on." She laughed once, dry, sharp. "Flirting with Lily at my parents' table? Complimenting her perfume? Bringing up some story from 10 years ago like it means something now?" "It was a nice memory," I said, loosening my collar. Lily remembered it, too. Her eyes narrowed. "You did that on purpose." "What?" "Treat your sister like a human being." Heather stepped closer, face flushed. "Don't play innocent. You knew what you were doing. You were trying to get a rise out of me. And congratulations, it worked." I held her gaze. "So it's only a problem when I make you feel invisible?" Her breath caught, just briefly. "You've been cold, distant," she snapped. "You don't look at me the same. You barely touch me anymore." I nodded once. "Now you know what it feels like." The silence that followed cracked something in the room. Not loudly, but deeply. Heather scoffed, pacing. "So this is payback? You're just going to turn this into some sick little game?" "I'm not playing a game, Heather," I said. "I just stopped pretending." She looked stunned, like she wasn't sure whether to scream or crumble. I walked past her toward the bedroom, not rushing. "Just done." Behind me, her voice softened, but the desperation was showing. "So that's it. You flirt with my sister, make me feel like a ghost in my own house, and now you get to walk away like the wounded saint?" I paused at the bedroom door. "No," I said. "I just finally stopped letting you set the tone." She didn't follow, didn't say anything else. I walked into the bedroom and shut the door, not slamming it, not locking it, just closing it. I didn't sleep in the bed that night. I lay on top of the covers, fully dressed, staring at the ceiling while the fan hummed above. Heather never came in. She stayed on the other side of the wall. And for the first time since this whole thing began, it wasn't clear whether she was planning her next move, or realizing she might have already lost the board. The house was quiet, too quiet, and the space between our bodies was now matched by the space between our hearts. The bedroom smelled faintly of her perfume, but I didn't miss her. I missed who I used to be, before she turned love into leverage, before every word came with weight, before I learned how to be silent back. It was a slow Wednesday, one of those gray afternoons where the sky couldn't decide if it wanted to rain or just sulk. I was in my home office, half typing out lines of code, half watching the cursor blink like it had more conviction than I did. The house was quiet. Heather had left a couple hours earlier without saying where she was headed. Not unusual these days. My phone buzzed on the desk. I glanced at the screen. Jason calling. I leaned back and picked it up. "Yo," I answered. "Hey man." Jason's voice crackled through. "You home?" "Yeah, working." "Cool, cool. I swung by earlier. Left that socket set on your porch like we talked about. Appreciate it, I said, rubbing my temple. Was buried in work. Didn't hear you. No problem, he said. But listen, there was something kinda weird. I straightened. Weird how? Well, as I was walking back to the truck, I saw Heather come out the side door. She didn't see me. She was on her phone, laughing. Then she got into a black car parked out front. I went quiet. Jason added, didn't recognize the guy driving. He didn't get out. Just sat there while she climbed in. I swallowed once, slowly. What kind of car? BMW. Newer model. Tinted windows, maybe 7 Series. Real clean. My knuckles whitened around the phone. You get a plate? Nah, sorry. Didn't think it was anything until I drove off, and it stuck with me. I nodded to myself. That's all right. Jason hesitated. You think it's something? I paused. I'd already heard her betrayal in her own voice. But now it had a form, a shape, a black car, a silent man behind the wheel. It's something, I said flatly. Jason let out a breath. Look, you want me to do anything? Not trying to stir trouble, but I'm off the next couple days. I can keep an eye out if he comes around again. I glanced at the empty mug on my desk. Heather had said she was going to run errands. Yeah, I said. Do me a favor. Next time you see that car, follow it. Don't get close. Just see where it goes. You got it. Text me if anything moves. Will do, Jason said. Then, quieter, sorry man. I ended the call and set the phone down gently. No outburst. No broken glass. No yelling. Just a deep, slow exhale. It wasn't about catching her in the act anymore. That had already happened, with her words, with her laughter on the phone to Lily. Now it was about something else entirely. Clarity. I stood and walked to the window. The yard was still, the porch empty except for Jason's tools. Heather thought she was 2 steps ahead. Let her think it. Let her keep slipping into that black car like nobody saw her. Because next time someone would. Jason tapped the steering wheel lightly, eyes scanning the dim parking lot through the windshield. I sat beside him, leaning forward just enough to stay in the shadows. 10 minutes, he muttered. That's how long she's been in there. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My eyes were locked on the front entrance of the restaurant. One of those trendy rooftop spots on the east side where everyone took Instagram photos under fake string lights and overpriced appetizers. Heather had left the house at 6:30. Claimed she was going to dinner with a co-worker to discuss a client pitch. No specifics. No hesitation. Just another lie. Served up smooth like she'd rehearsed it 100 times. Jason had followed from 3 cars back, texting me updates. I met him halfway through the route, jumped into the truck while she was stopped at a red light. Neither of us spoke much after that. And now here we were, waiting. The street lamps above flickered in rhythm with my pulse. Jason cleared his throat. You sure you want to see this? I nodded slow. I already heard it. Seeing it just makes it real. Then we saw it. The black BMW pulled in smooth as oil, gliding into a spot near the entrance. The passenger door opened, and there she was. Heather stepped out, dressed a little too polished for a work dinner. Heels. That dark green dress I hadn't seen since our anniversary in Savannah. Her hair done up in waves. Like it was a date. Because it was. The driver stepped out next. Tall. Sharp haircut. Confident posture. The kind of man who'd never be caught carrying his partner's purse. But Heather beamed at him like he was holding the moon in his pocket. They walked toward the restaurant. And just before reaching the doors, he stopped. Turned. Leaned in. She smiled, tilted her chin, and met him halfway. Their lips touched, briefly, but deliberately. It wasn't some nervous peck. It was familiar. Practiced. Like this wasn't the first time they'd met here. Jason's hand froze on the gear shift. Mine curled into a fist so tight the leather seat creaked beneath my knuckles. I didn't blink. Didn't breathe. She kissed him with the same mouth that told me she was tired from work. The same lips that once whispered promises in the dark. Jason shifted in his seat, glancing at me. Say the word. I exhaled, slow and sharp. Not yet. Ryan, not yet. He leaned back. Said nothing more. We watched as they disappeared inside. The restaurant doors closed behind them with a soft thud I felt in my chest. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees, staring at the spot they'd just stood in. My heart wasn't racing. My blood wasn't boiling. No, this was worse. It was still. Cold. A silence filled me that was deeper than rage. I wasn't going to shout in a parking lot. I wasn't going to confront them over appetizers and candlelight. I'd seen what I needed. Now I was thinking. Jason finally spoke again. You okay? I nodded once. Yeah. You don't look okay. I'm not, I said. But I'm clear. He turned to me, hesitant. What are you gonna do? I watched the restaurant doors a moment longer, then looked him dead in the eyes. I'm gonna give her what she's never given me. What's that? I let the words settle in my throat before speaking. A consequence. Saturday came wrapped in the kind of early autumn warmth that makes people forget things are falling apart. Heather's parents were throwing a small get-together, wine, catered food, and just enough social pressure to make attendance feel required. I showed up exactly on time. Polished boots, rolled sleeves, confidence that was no longer borrowed. Heather had already arrived. She wore red, of course she did. She always reached for red when she wanted control. But it didn't work tonight. Because Lily was there, too. She greeted me near the back patio, cheeks pink from either the wine or the air. Well, don't you clean up nice, she said, her tone teasing. You're just saying that because I'm the only man here not wearing boat shoes. She laughed, nudging my arm gently. You say that like you're above boat shoes. I leaned closer. I'm above a lot of things now. Her eyes lingered, just for a second, but enough to make something in the air tighten. Heather noticed. From across the patio, her gaze followed every word, every smile. She was standing with her cousin, pretending to be locked in conversation, but I saw her eyes dart over again and again. And I didn't stop. During dinner, I chose the seat next to Lily. Heather was across the table, 2 chairs down. The food was good. The wine flowed. But the real action happened in glances. I complimented Lily's earrings. She laughed at my jokes, too loudly. At one point, I brushed a leaf from her shoulder, and her breath caught audibly. Heather's fork paused midair. Oh my God, remember the lake house trip? Lily said suddenly. You brought that awful guitar and tried to play John Mayer's songs by the fire. I grinned. Correction. I did play them. Whether they were awful is still up for debate. She tilted her head. You had a good voice. That's so? I mean, you weren't terrible. Heather stood abruptly, grabbing her glass. I'm getting more wine, she muttered, disappearing inside without waiting for a response. Later, I found Lily by the driveway, leaning against her car and scrolling through her phone. The sun had dipped behind the trees, and the streetlight above cast a soft yellow circle over the asphalt. You okay? I asked, walking up slowly. She looked up, surprised. Yeah, just needed some air. I glanced back toward the house. Me too. A pause. Then, you and Heather seemed tense tonight, she said, not quite meeting my eyes. I chuckled dryly. We've been tense for a while. She nodded. I don't want to be in the middle of something. I know I laughed on that call. I didn't think you heard. I should have stopped her. I looked at her. Really looked. For the first time, she didn't feel like just Heather's sister. She felt like a woman trying to live in someone else's storm. Maybe trying not to drown in it. I didn't hold it against you, I said softly. But I haven't forgotten it, either. She swallowed. Fair. I stepped closer. I just needed a reminder that someone still sees me. Her breath caught. She glanced away, then back. I see you. The words hung there, delicate. Too big for the space between us. I gestured toward my car parked down the street. Walk with me. She hesitated, then nodded. We sat in my car, engine off, windows slightly cracked. The streetlight buzzed above, steady and dim. Inside the cabin, it was quiet, almost reverent. She turned toward me, hugging her knees up slightly on the seat. What are we doing? I don't know, I said honestly. Talking, breathing, escaping. She laughed under her breath. Heather's gonna kill me. I looked over at her. She's the one who buried it. A beat. Then she leaned in, slowly, like gravity made the choice for her. Our foreheads touched, not lips, not yet. Just stillness, heat, and maybe regret, too. But I didn't move. Neither did she. Because sometimes, silence answers questions louder than words. Outside, the streetlight kept humming. Watching, judging. But it didn't stop us. Not tonight. Heather was already in the living room when I came in. Legs crossed, glass of wine in hand. A faux casual look on her face like she'd been lounging there for hours. I didn't speak right away. I closed the door behind me, slipped out of my coat, and laid my phone carefully on the coffee table between us. She glanced at it, then at me. Did you enjoy your evening? She asked, her tone cool. I did, I said. Lily's always been easy to talk to. She flinched, but only a little. You've made your point, she muttered. Whatever game you're playing, you've had your fun. No, I said calmly, sitting across from her. I'm not playing. I'm finishing. Her brows furrowed. Finishing what? I tapped the screen on my phone, pulled up the saved audio file. Let it play. The one I'd heard in the hallway that night. The call between her and Lily. He's a loser in bed. All my exes were better. You fake it. Every single time. The room froze. Heather's fingers tightened around her glass, color draining from her face. I came home early, I said, cutting her off. That night, I stood in the hallway and listened to every word. I didn't interrupt, because I wanted to hear it all. And I did. She stood abruptly. You eavesdropped? You invaded my privacy, and then, what, decided to flirt with my sister for revenge? No, I said, standing to meet her gaze. I decided to restore balance. I swiped to the next screen. A screenshot of Lily's message from earlier that night. I can't stop thinking about what happened in the car. I've never felt that wanted before. You made me feel like the only woman on the planet. I held it out. Let her read it. Her mouth opened, closed. 1,000 expressions warred across her face. Shock, hurt, fury, and something close to panic. This is sick, she spat. You seduced my sister to get back at me? No, I said. I reminded her I existed. Just like I reminded you. You're disgusting. I took a step closer. You laughed at me, Heather. Made me a joke to the one person who used to admire me the most. You called me a failure in the one place a man wants to feel valued. And now, the same woman who giggled at your insults is sending me messages saying I'm everything you said I wasn't. She shoved the phone off the table. It clattered to the floor. You crossed a line, she hissed. You don't come back from this. I looked her dead in the eyes. Neither do you. For a moment, we just stood there. Two strangers who used to share a life. I want you out, she said finally, her voice trembling. I'm already gone, I replied. And I meant it. Everything else, the walls, the furniture, even the air, it could stay hers. But the part of me that loved her, that was gone. And she knew it. It's been 4 months. The house isn't mine anymore. Neither is the couch I once slept on to avoid her voice. The espresso machine, the framed wedding photo, the chipped ceramic mug Heather used every morning. They're all pieces of a chapter one closed without rereading. I live across town now. Small apartment. Quiet neighborhood. The kind of place where nobody asks questions when you sit on the balcony with black coffee and stare into nothing. My phone buzzes again. Same number. Same pattern. Lily, please, just talk to me. I didn't mean for this to happen. You're not like the others. You made me feel seen. I think about that night all the time. I don't open them anymore. I just know. She started texting the week after the papers were signed. First it was casual. Hope you're okay. Then it shifted. Guilt. Longing. Maybe even something close to regret. But I haven't answered. Not once. Because no matter how sincere her words might sound, they still carry the echo of laughter from that hallway phone call. She joined in. She didn't stop it. And that matters. The difference between Heather and Lily? One stabbed while smiling. The other watched, smiled, and said nothing. I unlock my phone, scroll through the messages once more, then press and hold. Delete thread. Gone. I set the phone down and let out a slow breath. There's no satisfaction in bitterness. No thrill in revenge once the dust settles. But there is peace in silence. I'm not who I was. Not the man who came home early and froze in the hallway. That man died the second he realized his dignity had become a punchline. Now, I wake up early, work out more, eat better. I don't wait for someone to say I'm worth it. I just know it. I wear the blazer even when I don't need to. I nod at strangers. I smile at checkout clerks. I live. I don't watch Heather's social media. I don't ask mutual friends about her. She made her choice. And I made mine. Because sometimes dignity isn't about yelling back. It's about walking away before they even realize the argument's over. And when they do, all that's left is an echo and a closed door. That was the end of my story. Lily kept texting me after everything. Knowing full well the part she played in mocking me, she still reached out, still wanted something from me. If someone stood by and laughed while you were being torn apart, then came back asking for comfort, would you give it to them? Let me know in the comments. And if this story hit something in you, like and subscribe for more.